Alrighty, so we are making new highs every day on the S&P here, and we are kind of at a peak point here. You can see, but because we are so high on the RSI and we see a loss of momentum right here, I'm kind of expecting a drop today, though it is uptrending and one needs to be very cautious with that because it could turn on you very quickly. So the first trade I made was a long position. I got in right at that support right there. Thought that was a pretty decent place to get in. And it was moving super slow this morning. I went ahead and put in an exit order at a very conservative place and a stop because I thought, well, if it is going to drop, it's probably going to drop a good long ways. And I actually got stopped out. So the first trade, I actually lost $75. And I decided, since it had broken through the floor here, the support, we're kind of sitting at the support over here still. It really hasn't made that decision yet on the 15-minute chart. I decided to do another short. And there were a few things that were a little iffy with this trade. We're pretty low on the RSI. The MACD actually looks like it might turn up. But this was a pretty decisive downward trend. So I decided it was probably not too bad of a trade, even though there's a lot of things going against it. Probably the safer thing to do in hindsight would have just been to stay out at this point. But, and as you can see, I picked kind of the bottom right there and it started to go up. Not very far, but enough to make the MACD look like it's going to turn. And so it does not look like it's going to be a good trade. So I went ahead and put in an exit order here where I was hoping it would go, just kind of to plan ahead a little bit. And I figured on the long-term chart, or the longer-term chart, that wasn't a very bad place to go. The wick could definitely go down there and catch it. You know, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't be difficult to see that happen. That's what I'm trying to say. It did seem to be hitting that resistance level and bounced off of it. Went down. I was very hopeful. And very hopeful again, but we are sitting right there at the support. Dropped through that. And I went ahead and canceled my order there because I was thinking at this point that it might drop even further. So we just kind of like trade whenever I see the movement. Okay, it kind of hesitated there. Now, if you look at the rejection wicks, it's one way to see those wicks on the candle. It's like it goes up and then it doesn't quite have the oomph to keep it up there. So it rejects the price. When you see that, that means that it doesn't really want to go up too much. There's a lot of resistance against that. However, it did start to go up a little bit, and we definitely see a golden cross on the MACD. This is gaining momentum. This peak is a little higher than this one. There's just a lot of things to think that might be going up a little bit. I'm still pretty much at break even here. All right, now we had a decisive move up. Again, it kind of hit the support, so I'm still hanging on. No stops in place. And that's hopeful. And that's hopeful. It's just been going very slow this morning. It's just been difficult to stay focused and keep on top of the game. We are less than 2 minutes away from opening bell, right? The opening bell kind of showed a little bit of a drop, but not a huge movement. So that also tells me that there's probably not a lot of excitement about the price action going up. If it had made a decisive jump up at the opening bell, I would have been really worried. And we're kind of going flat. There's just a lot of indecision. All right, and then it went up a little bit higher, but we still haven't really broken through that resistance level there, but a little bit. Actually, it actually did go one little tiny bit above, one tick above where it was before. And that was all it took to push it to higher highs. And here I'm at a $587 loss altogether. It's a little bit worrisome there. However, the MACD is looking good. The RSI is really high. Still hanging on, hoping, but I decided I better try to get out, maybe even do a reverse, which is what you see here, when it drops back down again. And this was where I hoped to do that. It might even bounce off of that gold SMA. All right, it did. And I must have canceled those previous orders and redid it a little bit with one single trade here. And I waited for it to drop, and then it bounced. And so I put in my reverse order at this point, which it took, went back down again a little bit. So now I'm in a long position, though, remember. I'm hoping that it's actually going to go up. It bounced down here a little bit, went flat, and then it went back up again. So I went ahead and did a reverse at this point because I'm still kind of thinking it's going to drop. So I have a reverse order in, which I believe is going to get executed. But before I go to the next slide, I want to show you what all these red lines are. I went ahead and backed out to the 4-hour chart down here, and I put in the Fibonacci retracement line grid here. So we have the bottom, and then the peak, and then the bottom, which then lays out this grid here to show how far up it may go. And it went way above, well, it kind of like stayed at the 100% mark right here. That's why it went flat right there. And it actually broke through that. But that's the last mark, as you can see on the Fibonacci thing, that's within a reasonable range. We have peaked out, we've made new highs. The pressure to drop at this point is getting greater and greater. It's very rare for it to go above the 100%. That was a pretty decisive, positive, bullish move there. But having it drop back down to that line, I don't think it's unreasonable. I could definitely see that happening. So, all right, I did a reverse here. Now I'm in a short. I whittled back my losses a little bit to 362. And I'm pretty good with this position here. I think it's going to drop. I don't know how far it's going to go, and I'll probably try to trade the littler trades, the $100, $150, even $200 trades, to try to get myself out of this hole that I'm in. Went up and made even higher highs. Now we're up to 48.98 even, and I don't think it's any coincidence that that's a nice even dollar amount right there. Still hanging on. Back up to $525 loss. I put in an exit order down here, that's a considerable amount of space there. That probably won't happen all at once. Okay, just kind of watch it. It's going to drop, hit that support and bounce up. Unfortunately, I had gotten distracted at that point, I believe, and missed the opportunity to do a reverse at that point. I probably would have had I been paying attention, but I was distracted. All right, went in and canceled this order. I thought, that's hoping for too much. It just wants to go up. So here was an interesting surprise. It started moving very quickly. You can see this is a big red candle, and it happened very, very quick. I went ahead and put in an order at a little bit higher position. I thought, well, it's definitely going to drop down to that point. It may drop down to that point, but I probably should shoot for the conservative. All right. And then it had another decisive drop. It hit the support right here, or resistance level, I should say, and dropped some more. So I went back to my big hopes and dreams down here. And sure enough, it had another big drop, went back through there, kind of leveled out, and decided at this point I'm just going to get out. That was a huge drop. So that was my fourth trade, and I've whittled my losses now down to 162. So that was very helpful. Got on the right side of that trade, and a lot of my predictions are starting to look like they might come true. All right. And at this point, I decided the MACD is so low, and that was such a decisive drop. I'm pretty sure it's going to bounce back up, probably not super far. So I got in a long position here and put my exit order in up here. And it did that. Did exactly that, and very quickly too. You can even see there's like a gap here. It just moves so fast. All right, so now I'm out. I'm actually at $100 profit here, waiting for it to get in. And here looks like it's gonna, the rejection wick went above it, and then that resistance level held. So I'm in a short position, hopefully here. Yep, it took it. All right, so now I'm back to thinking it's probably going to drop down to this level. And again, I always put it in a few ticks above where I think it might go, just to be on the safe side, especially since that's such a huge distance. We're talking almost 10 points. That's a lot. That'll be a while before it gets there. All right, so I'm in a short, looking good, bounced up, testing that resistance again. Big rejection wick, and then a big drop. So I'm still in the green here. Tried it again, bounced up, and then it went down again. And let's see, it looks like I got out at this point. I think I did not want to, that last rise kind of scared me a little bit. So I decided to get out at a smaller profit. I've gotten my profit up to 150 now. And the MACD does not look good. That was the other reason I got out. It looked like it might go up. And I wanted to get in when the MACD is looking more like this right here. So sure enough, it went up. I'm sitting out at this point. And there's our first red candle. We can see on the longer term chart, we've got 2 red candles here, and we've developed a red candle on the 30-minute chart. And we can kind of see this line right through here. If you wanted to draw a price line through there, we're kind of at the peak. If it went much above it, then we'd show some more bullish momentum than I think it's got right now. So I think this is not a bad place to get in. I would do a short. The MACD looks like it's maybe starting to turn a little bit. The RSI is pretty high. And it started to drop. Now it needs to get through these support levels here, which it did. Looking good. And again, I'm thinking probably down here, but I'll probably get out a little bit sooner. Yep, and sure enough, I just couldn't stand it any longer. I felt like I just don't want to put any more risk on the line there. I put in an exit order here, and it dropped even a little bit more beyond that, which was super cool, and ended me at $400 profit for the day minus my 7 commissions. So that was pretty nice. And I waited a few more minutes. Let's see, between this one is 10:28 and this one is 10:32. I can see that, yes, it did drop down to that line right there. And from here, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But it's pretty neat that I predicted where it was going to go. I think there was good reason to think it was going to go there. We had the gold SMA on the 15-minute chart and the 100% on the Fibonacci lines. So I'm very happy. Here's my sheet for today of my profit and information. So thank you for joining me.